you can say play Hampshire Sussex County Championship and they'll play it as well. That's a short delivery. It's smashed through the offside by Hudson Prentice. It's a poor delivery from James Fuller, who had a maiden in his last over and starts off with a real loosener in this one.
Round the wicket to Simpson. This time it's clipped away, absolutely, onto the leg side, all the way past fine leg. 4 more.
5 overs into this afternoon session. In comes Gubbins, bowls, Simpson defends, and there is no run. End of the session. Sussex 228 for 5.
As Abbott comes in again from the pavilion end, bowls, this time pushed away past cover, and that will run away for 4 by Hudson Prentice.
That's a ridiculous shot because he's not really tried to hit that whatsoever. No. He's just, like you say, just pushed at the ball.
Wheel in again.
Oh, that's close.
Oh, that's a big shout from there. And it's been given.
Yep.
And Hudson Prentice is going to have to be dismissed. Hampshire have finally found their way through.
Kyle Abbott will continue from the pavilion end. He's driving, nothing wrong with that. John Simpson drives on the up through the offside. Bird gets out the way to let it go to the boundary rope for 4. There's nothing wrong with him. And Ollie Robinson with the ball when he's fit.
Wheel, that's just bowled and driven to mid-on, but there was a diving attempt at a stop, but he didn't manage it. I think that's run away.
Graham, much appreciated.
You're closer to us than we are to the action. That's a square drive, nicely played by John Simpson. Goes away from James Fuller. He's not going to get there. It goes through backward point for 4, all the way along the floor.
Turner, and that's pulled onto the offside. That's well done. That's going to run away. Was that a catch? What?
No, it wasn't a catch. It's gone over him, and John Simpson's gone through to his 100. A wonderful 100 by John Simpson. In comes Dawson again. Carson back, thumps that one away through the covers. Good shot by Jack Carson. A bit too short this time by Liam Dawson. He doesn't bowl too many deliveries like that, and Jack Carson.
Fuller in again to Carson, who's hit on the pad. There's a big appeal and given James Fuller full and straight, and that's the end of Jack Carson. He's have to walk off.
I imagine they're going to their next runs as Fuller comes in. Oh, and the off stump is bowled by Fuller. That was a brilliant bowl, and McAndrew will have to depart for a golden duck.
Hands together, clasp round that ball. In now, and edged and caught. Turn and bounce, 3rd time lucky for Liam Dawson. This time goes a little bit straighter, gets the turn and bounce that he wanted. Carvelos ends up getting a touch on that one. If he wants it, it's there. It can be anywhere in the ground, pretty much. And he's getting hit on the stumps, dead in front. That's brilliant for Hampshire, brilliant for Dawson. He's taken 2 wickets.
Slips go down, he's in bowls. Middleton is going to pick up 4 runs. Well, I think it's a fair enough shot. It was wide of 3rd slip. There's a backward point, and
Milton waiting, this time better, and it's clipped off. Very nice, onto the leg side, and that's going to run away for 4. There are 3 chasing fielders, but they've just not been able to quite get there, and that is 4 for Middleton. So, wow, that was swept away. The umpire to tuck right out the way on square leg, and that's pulled away for 4 runs.
We didn't do anything wrong necessarily, but weren't as challenging as these two seem to be. As I say that, full deliveries clipped up through mid-on. I'm not sure the fielder's going to get there. No, just trickles over the boundary. With experience and captaincy as well, it's pretty hard to ignore. It's an under edge. Oh, it's an LBW decision given by the umpire. It looked a bit short.
In comes Crocombe at bowls. Cut away firmly, good shot by Stoneman. A little too wide from Henry Crocombe with the point up, saving the single. The ball whistled past.
The breakthrough as McAndrew comes in and bowls, and that was very tight, and it's been given, and Stoneman's been given, caught behind, and he looked as if he was in trouble the last few deliveries, and he hangs his head down.
Henry Crocombe to start a new one from the hotel end. He's given LBW. That's another one for Sussex. So, yeah, Ralph, I'm sorry about that, as Crocombe comes in again, and that looks quick, and it's hooked nicely, actually, by Ben Brown in front of square on the leg side. He's going to pick up 4. He didn't look particularly comfortable, actually. 3 slips waiting. Crocombe into Brown, who's wafting outside the off stump, and it goes flying past the slips for 4. Might have gone over the slips, in fact, but it's going
to be right arm over, bowls, and this is swept through the covers, and that's going to run away for 4 on the offside.
They're playing a few shots, these two.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to climb onto anything that's not on the stumps. 61 for 3 at the moment. Nathan McAndrew bowls, and Tom Preston's off stump has gone flying. That's a good length delivery, and he's too good for Tom Prest. They're battling at the moment against Crocombe, and he's forward this time, Ben Brown. That's a lovely shot from, oh sorry, Dawson. Carving the ball through point with real power.
There's 4 wickets just in this afternoon as McAndrew comes in again, and this is driven down the offside, and that will go for 4 because that's chasing mid-wicket, but he won't get there. They're hunting for a 5th there end today as this is driven out past the covers on the leg side, and that will go for 4. Very nicely played by Dawson. Brings up another 4 for him.
Cole's left arm spin around the wicket, bowls to Dawson, who's back and cuts firmly. Nice looking shot by Liam Dawson. It's racing down towards the third man boundary. No one's going to be able to cut that off. Nicely played. Just leant back and cut the ball nicely away through backward point.
But then he's had a word with Jack Carson, and now he's bowling, so...
Carson bowls. Oh, he picks up a wicket. Jack Carson has bowled Ben Brown. Brown has gone for 17. The introduction of Carson has done the trick.
Crocombe in once more, slashing through the offside is Liam Dawson. He's going to pick up a boundary, I think.
Oh, well fielded.
And no, it's just dribbled over the rope. It's just dribbled over the rope. It was a really, really good effort down at third.
The off spinner in and bowls, and he's picked up another wicket. He's bowled leg stump, 2nd wicket for Jack Carson. I have to say, I think that's a really poor shot by Toby Albert. He's bowled leg stump, a 6th wicket goes down.
Comes in past the umpire, bowls a delivery. It's driven firmly by Liam Dawson, goes through the hands of the fielder at extra cover, who's now holding his wrist. There's another fielder after it, won't catch up with it as he cannons into the hover cover. Crocombe in once again, a full delivery, driven nicely by Will, square of the wicket on the offside. He's going to pick up at least 2, and it will actually trickle over the rope for 4. So that's a good shot from Brad Wheel.
Final 4 wickets that they need to win this game. Carson in, bowls, Wheel is forward, defends, plays out into the offside, and that is it.
Well, a very good morning from the Utilita Bowl on this bright and breezy Sunday morning, where we are minutes away from getting underway the third day of this County Championship Division 1 match between Hampshire and Sussex. And I think it's fair to say that Sussex are in a pretty decent position. I wasn't here yesterday. Adrian Harms was from BBC Sussex. He'll tell you a little bit more about yesterday in more detail, but the situation is that Hampshire in their second innings are 114 for 6, and they are still behind in the game by 29 runs. I'm Kevin James. Now, we've got a real treat a little later. Hopefully not too later, because this game might finish, but he'll be around in about 15, 20 minutes. Former England and Hampshire batter Michael Carberry is with us. Amelia Clark is still with us. I'm Kevin James, and you must be fairly happy with the way your team sit right at this moment.
Well, the funny thing was, and you mentioned this on Friday, because when I arrived, I said to you, I was a bit worried about this week, because Sussex, there's no Ollie Robinson in the side, no Daniel Hughes, so they are two players who would definitely have played in this game for Sussex. Robinson's struggling with his ankle injury, and Daniel Hughes, his partner, is having their first child. And I thought this would be a tough game for Sussex on the back of a very good win for Hampshire up at Edgbaston, and Sussex with a defeat down at Somerset. So I think Sussex have performed really well in this game. I think that's the first thing to say. And the second thing to say, they haven't won it yet, because Liam Dawson's still out there and you never know what might happen. But I think from this position, Sussex will feel they ought to win this game. But I think it was all about the partnership between Hudson Prentice and John Simpson, really, Kev. I mean, 173, it's by far the biggest partnership of the match. But I spoke to John Simpson last night, and he was. I know sometimes you can say the same things, but John was saying you just have to concentrate to get yourself in. The odd ball perhaps misbehaved, but it's not a minefield, is it? The pitch isn't a minefield. It wasn't easy, and I think Hudson Prentice and Simpson had to play well, but that's the stand that's really set Sussex up. And then Hampshire were always under pressure, I think, when they came to bat second time around. Yeah. That being said, sorry, I'm rabbiting on here.
No, you're not.
The other thing I would say is I think the Sussex seamers are bowled really well. I think I don't know whether it's because Robinson's not playing that perhaps they feel they've all got to step up to the plate a little, and I think they all have actually in this game.
Yeah. I must admit I've not really seen much of Henry Crocombe before. I like his action. Yeah. I like the way he hits the pitch. He seems to be a good old-fashioned seamer that hits the seam, makes you play, gets it to dart around a little bit, and for me, he's the best of the seamers for Sussex.
And it's his first game of the season. He's been struggling with his shoulder injury. I spoke to him after the first day, and he said it first sort of happened over when he was with the Lions. They're out in Australia, a little bit of pain. He came back. The problem was they couldn't diagnose what the problem was, and he was seeing various people. Eventually had a minor op on the shoulder. He said, I've still got a bit of discomfort, but it's fine, I can play, and he's just glad to be out there. And he does bowl at a decent lick as well.
Yeah, he does, yeah. No, he's a good bowler.
So,
anyway, he's got time on his side as well still, hasn't he, really?
Yeah. And they had to juggle the fights. This is Nathan McAndrew's last game. He'll play some T20s before he goes back to Australia. And they'll have, they'll have another change around. Good morning to 5 Sports Extra listeners, as well as those on BBC Radio Sussex and BBC Radio Solent. It's a breezy day down here on the south coast. Look at the trees outside of the ground. They're sort of bending in the wind, Kevin. But we're getting underway, and the forecast is good for the rest of the day. And it looks, I spoke to John Simpson last night, and obviously Sussex are saying, we haven't won this game yet, but from this position they'll be desperately disappointed.
I have a feeling that whatever the weather is later on this afternoon, it won't matter.
Well, you never know with Liam Dawson. I mean, from a Hampshire supporter's point of view, is there any, Dawson is the one, isn't he? Who?
Yeah, 35 not out. Brad Wheel 4 not out. As I say, I wasn't here yesterday, but I guess Brad Wheel's just been bumped up the order by 1 or 2. Late last night, but Sussex have played well in this game. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Hampshire, immediately they were bowled out for 150 in the first innings, were under pressure, even though the wicket was, nipping around a bit with so much grass on it. Bare ends. I saw a couple of the dismissals late last night where the ball turned for Carson. So this is going to be This is going to be tough for Hampshire to put any sort of total on the board, to give Sussex anything to chase.
Well, it is going to be Nathan McAndrew who's going to get us underway, bowling from the hotel end of the ground, coming into bowl to Liam Dawson, who's on 35. He's in and bowls, and Dawson is straight away on his way, just clips the ball off his hip down to deep mid-wicket and picks up the first run of the morning that reduces the deficit to 28, Hampshire to 115 for 6. Sussex with 3 slips, a backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a fine leg way down in the distance. And I think really the turning point in the match was the one big partnership of the whole match between John Simpson, who made yet another 100 for Sussex, and Finn Hudson-Prentice, that was worth 173, that really, because Sussex were in trouble, Kevin, 83 for 5, and it looked like Hampshire might well have a first innings lead.
Yeah.
That completely changed the match.
Can I ask you a question? Obviously not being here, but, and I wouldn't take anything away from that partnership, but a heavy roller yesterday morning, did that have a bit of an effect?
Well, possibly. In comes McAndrew bowls and forward comes Wheel, right to the pitch, the ball plays out to the covers, and there is no run. Well, there was a time yesterday, and suddenly, Sussex batted through. They got to the new ball, they batted through the opening overs of the new ball as well, and we were saying in commentary maybe the pitch has flattened out a bit. Now, one or two of the Sussex lads said to me, oh, there was a comment in commentary the pitch was flat. I don't think anyone ever said it was flat, but when you've got a partnership of 173, you think, well, perhaps it has flattened. It looks a little easier. Yeah. So I think it looked like it was easier to bat yesterday than it was on the first day, but not straightforward. In comes McAndrew again, bowls to Wheel, who's forward defensively, plays out into the offside, fielded by Ollie Carter, and there is no run. That being said, from Sussex then also lost 4 wickets for just 1 run at the end of the innings. But I think that's cool. A question for you, really, and I guess a question maybe for Ben Brown. If he had his time again, having won the toss, would he have elected to bat? Difficult to know. I spoke to John Simpson about that, and he said, well, it was one of those where you're perhaps not that sorry to lose the toss and let someone else make the decision.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah. The sun is out, and McAndrew is on his way from the Hotel Inn over the wicket bowls, played into the offside by Wheel, and there is no run. So Nathan McAndrew just over for 2 county championship games. He will play a number of T20 Blast games, but he'll be going back before the next round of county championship matches begin towards the end of June. We've got 3 weeks now of pretty much 3 weeks of T20 cricket, and then the county championship resumes. Seems almost bonkers to think that we're halfway through the season, halfway through the 4-day season, and we're not even at the end of May yet. But that's the way that the schedule works. McAndrew runs away from us. In and bowls, and Will nudges behind. No, I thought he got a little nick on that, taken low down by John Simpson. A little bit of movement there from Nathan McAndrew.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm pleased to see that bit of movement or not, really. I mean, in a way, Hampshire could do with this wicket being a little quiet this morning, and then maybe just juicing up again. Yeah, a bit of rain, 100 in front, and then the wickets start to break up and do also. But he doesn't really do that here. Doesn't break up here. It looks spare in the ends. It looks still a little green in the middle, but it never gets worse here.
McAndrew, last ball of the opening over of the day, in and bowls, and Will plays firmly down the ground. That's a nice looking shot, and that's going to run away down below us for 4 runs. So nice shot by Brad Will, and Hampshire go to 119 for 6. Brad Will onto 8. Nathan McAndrew, 11 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 32. But the most important statistic on the scoreboard is that the arrears are now down to 24.
Yes, Liam Dawson very much key here. Still Carl Abbott to come. James Fuller, has he batted? I've looked at the scorecard.
No.
Having been out all day.
No, Fuller
yesterday.
hasn't batted,
No, Fuller, well, it's got to look positively. We're on the live picture feed here on the Hampshire Cricket website, which is being beamed back to the Sussex Cricket website, BBC Sport website and app, online, around the ground, on live commentary. And it's going to be Jack Carson, the off-spinner, that's going to open up from the pavilion end. 4 overs, 2 for 4, his current figures.
Yes. It was strange yesterday because Paul Farbrace came wandering up the dressing room with about 3/4 of an hour to go and walked around. He was giving messages to players. Sussex were on top, and with that suddenly Jack Carson came on.
On the back foot, Dawson squeezes that on the 45 on the leg side. Slightly aerial, there's no leg slip. Goes down for a single. And the total moves on to 120 for 6. Dawson moves on to 37. That deficit now down to 23. We're all on tender hooks here, hoping that Hampshire at least get in front. They lost heavily 2 weeks ago against Notts. Good comeback win against Warwickshire, Edgbaston last week, but they don't really want to suffer another heavy defeat. 2 in 3 games. Just waiting for a helmet to be put on here. We're going to have another fielder in close. So we've got a short leg. Are we going to get the leg slip in? I think we might be.
Yeah, I think we are.
That's what the slight delay is for. It's got to be James Coles going into a leg slip. We may or may not see his left arm spin this morning. Depends on how well Hampshire bat. We're into the 36th over of the Hampshire second innings. It's Wheel, there's 3 round the bat, including the slip as Wheel pushes forward, goes out to backward a point, and there is no run.
I mean, Liam Dawson's obviously got trust in the tail enders. When does he get to a stage when he might think to himself, right, it's on me now, I've got to attack the bowling? Not yet, clearly.
Well, no, maybe not yet, but knowing Liam Dawson, he's probably thinking it's all about me now anyway. That's almost a Yorker there as that's played into the ground, Brad Wheel, and he picks the ball up. That's a nice gesture for the fielders. Michael Carberry wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have picked the ball up, helped the fielders out. He was always gritty and determined, Michael Carberry was. Good player. And he's with us. He'll be on commentary shortly. As Carson bowls again. Forward is Wheel. Nice and correct forward defensive there. Plays that into the ground. It certainly looks even dustier at the ends than I remember on day one.
Yeah.
Looks as though just got a little scuffed up. There's a big patch in front of Wheel actually, which I think last night when Ben Brown was out bowled through back, but it's turned. It's gone down the leg side. Keeper John Simpson hasn't taken it cleanly. It's deflected off the glove. It won't quite go down to the fine leg boundary. It's got pretty close, and they will run through for what I think will be 3 byes. I don't think it touched the batter. The umpire is signalling 3 leg byes. 120 for 6 now, Hampshire. 123 for 6, I tell a lie.
There was
20 deficit.
Sorry, Kevin. There was a couple like that actually late on yesterday that turned down the leg side as well.
Yeah, there was a patch. It's straight wicket to wicket. Normally, when you see these bare patches, they're normally the bowler's footmarks and they're a little wider. But if you watch on the live picture feed, you'll just see a bare mark just on off stump, and it's quite a large area. And that's that ball pitched in there from Carson that got Ben Brown out last night. Oh, it's a big shot to Dawson. I think it wrapped him on the pad. Sorry, I was watching the live picture feed there, which is just slightly delayed for us. That's the end of the over, but there's a bit happening for the spinners. Slowly but surely, the spinners have found a little bit more purchase. I'm just watching that again. It's gone to sweep. Yeah, it's way outside off stump, so nothing to worry about there. End of the over, 123 for 6.
Just looking at the other games around the country, I think they're playing everywhere this morning, which is great news, apart from Northamptonshire. There's a bit of rain. Yeah,
we should be all right. It doesn't usually come from there. Don't think it does. 123 for 6. Poor Adrian. He's swallowed a bit of coffee, and it's obviously not quite gone the way it should. Here's McAndrew. I'll do this delivery for you. Forward is Wheel, and just goes back to the bowler.
Serves me right. They're very nice pastries here, don't they, for the game? And I think I've got a bit of pastry stuck in the back of my throat.
Huge croissants.
Lovely, aren't they?
Yeah,
we've been very well looked after it this week.
Yeah, it's been terrific, yeah. They're the sort of size that they're about 3 in 1, those ones. And they were hot. They were actually warm when they came up this morning.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was like standing next to a bakery.
McAndrew just mops his brow and prepares to come in. 3 slips still in place. Backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. And a fine leg. McAndrew in bowls. Good delivery. That got up and past the outside edge of Brad Wheel's back. Good pace from Nathan McAndrew.
That kicked off, didn't it?
It did. And safely into the gloves of Simpson. And there is no run. So the arrears are now 20. Hampshire 123 for 6. Here on 5 Sports Extra, BBC Radio Solent, BBC Radio Sussex, Adrian Harms, Kevin James, Michael Carberry with us. Shortly, be great to hear from Michael and Amelia Clark, your commentary team today, as the sun disappears for a minute. It's a breezy day down on the south coast, but quite a bit of blue sky around as McAndrew is in bowls. Forward comes Will. More runs here, and that could well be 4 runs. Nipping past 3rd slip. James Cole's diving across, can't do anything about that. And Hampshire off to a brisk start here this morning. That's another boundary for Brad Wheel. Has really played a lovely shot down, but got a lovely off drive for 4 runs. He goes to 12. Hampshire 127 for 6. And I'm sure both you and Michael would have been in dressing rooms, I'm sure, where this situation happens and the coach says, come on, this isn't one yet. And I'm sure Paul Farbrace was saying that to the Sussex players this morning.
Yeah, well, you're
still
looking,
work to do.
Yeah, you're looking to see how the pitch is playing, and you're thinking, and then within the first couple of overs, you kind of get an idea, you know, how long you might be able to be out there for.
McAndrew again. Bowls and Will's beaten outside the arc. That's a good delivery by Nathan McAndrew. Playing a miss from Wheel through to keeper John Simpson. And there is no run.
Yeah, already there's a little bit of encouragement for the bowlers this morning. That's a beautiful delivery, that. That's just kicked off a length, kissed the length, pitched, straightened. Lovely shape on that delivery. We've seen one in this over bounce as well, of just short of a length. We've seen Carson turn 1 or 2. So this won't be easy. It's not going to be that easy.
McAndrew again. From the Hilton end, the Hotel Inn, bowls and forward comes Wall. Plays slightly across the line, but back down the onside of the pitch, fielded by McAndrew, and there is no run. I think he's one of these players, Nathan McAndrew. He's only over for 2 county championship matches, but you can chuck him the ball, and he always wants to bowl. I guess you guys would have played with bowlers like that.
Yeah.
Can you bowl me 5 overs or whatever? And
yeah, I mean
everything.
Listen, if you've been harsh, you'd love him to be another yard quicker. But I mean, you know, a lot of these wickets these guys play on these days, you want somebody to run in and hit the seam. And if they're strong and they can bowl you a ton of overs in a day, that's what you want.
Yeah, and it's just what Nathan McAndrew gives you, in and bowls, and Will Jackson plays that one to the onside, fielded there by, who's that at mid-on? It's Ari Cavalis. And there is no run. So end of over, another over safely negotiated by Hampshire. 127 for 6, Dawson on 37, Wheel on 12, Nathan McAndrew 12 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 36. The important figure is on the bottom right-hand side of the scoreboard. The deficit is now 16.
First email of the morning, solentcricket@gmail.com, comes from Tim Street, who says, do we have another batter in the second 11 apart from Ali Orr that can come into the first team? I think after this game, and depending on the result, he might have to wait a month, but I don't think Ali Orr's too far away from maybe being given a chance. He thinks 1 or 2 of the youngsters perhaps should be given a rest. And he says obviously the slip catches haven't been great, says Tim. Just generally despondent is Mr. Street, as that's turned away in the air but safe up towards deep mid-on by Liam Dawson, who again uses his feet. He's done that well, not just in this game, but he does that pretty well against the spinners.
Here's a nice email, Kevin. It's coming from Fred, and he says, I'm listening in from sunny Cyprus on the morning of my sister's wedding with my mother and girlfriend Molly, but hoping to hear a Sussex win before I'm called off to walk her down the aisle.
Oh,
How lovely is that?
Lovely. Oh dear, something's rattling away. It's down the leg side, I think. I think that's come off the thigh pad. Well taken by Simpson. 28 for 6, Carson getting a bit to spin here.
Well, have a great day, Fred. Listening to the cricket over in Cyprus.
Ahead of the wedding. Well, we've both walked our daughters down the aisle, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
There we are, so we know what it's like.
Yeah, wonderful moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you go, oh no, I'm giving my baby away.
Yes, I know.
I'm giving
I
my
did.
baby
Yeah.
away. Wheel drives. Good stop from Carson, diving low to his left. Score remains on 128 for 6. Hampshire have got the deficit down to 15, having started the day 29. We are getting the odd gust of wind up here on the camera gantry, so you might hear 1 or 2 things fall over at some point. Adrian's still got his full coat on, obviously feeling the cold.
Yeah.
Oh, it's turned away, caught, leg slip. First wicket of the morning, foolish delivery. Wheel went to turn it around, caught on the 45, and Wheel goes for 12. 128 now for 7.
Yeah, good catch, wasn't it, low down by James Goss. I was just going to comment there because Paul Farbrace had literally just come out of the Sussex dressing room walking around the boundary edge, which is exactly what he did yesterday, and I just wondered if he was trying to get some sort of a message out to the Sussex players, just as Brad Wheel turns that one into the hands of James Coles. Another wicket goes down, and another wicket for Jack Carson, who's got impressive figures of 3 for 6.
Yeah, it's going to be tough out there. There is absolutely no doubt about that. There is turn now, and as I say, quite a lot of dust around the length that the spinners will be bowling, so do expect some turn. It's just a matter of whether Hampshire can get far enough in front to get Dawson in the game, and even then he'd have to work some miracles.
Just for the benefit of the Sussex supporters who may be listening, I mean, there's still some batting coming. I mean, James Fuller come back, can't he?
Yeah, well there is, and yeah, he's no mug with a bat. He got a half century in the win over Warwickshire, batted superbly with 52 not out. But yeah, there's Fuller and Abbott and Turner, but you know, in this situation, you know, you've got to be realistic, and say that it's not about this morning. It's about what's been going on the first 2 days, and you know, Hampshire just unfortunately haven't quite played well enough. You know, for me, the batting is a little bit of a worry. I am going to talk about that a little bit with Michael when he comes on shortly, but in fact, we might do a change now, actually.
Yeah, why not?
Fall of the wicket, that might come in.
Can I just read this email?
Yes, of course.
John Malone in Bexhill says, "Hello, Adrian, Kevin and team. Any chance we can finish this before the football starts this afternoon? Thanks for the stream and commentary." Well, we'll see.
Yeah, well, let's try not to worry about that too much. 128 for 7. Michael Carberry. How are you?
Kev, brilliant to see you, man.
Yeah, and you, yes. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's too long. So, batting questions into Michael Carberry. We've already had a chat before we came on air about things, and yeah, Michael, I think it's fair to say, and I will say it, that maybe Michael as an opening batter never quite been replaced by Hampshire since you left Hampshire in
2017.
2017. Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it's been the years have rattled along, JMO.
They have, mate.
But they've got more greys than you remember.
I was going to say they've been kind to you. If I'm honest, you're here looking suave.
Well, I've got to keep up with you, mate.
Nobody's ever said that to me. Here's Carson. Forward is Fuller, and he gets wrapped on the pad. Bit of turn. So I know you've been watching a bit of this on the picture feed, so you're not coming into this totally blind or cold. But you know, first of all, what are you making of this pitch? Which comes out. Have a think as we watch Carson. 3 men around the bat still from the pavilion end. Bowls. Fuller again. He's forward. Ball just trickles out on the offside. End of the other. 128 for 7.
Yeah, I'd say it's got a bit of an odd look to it, hasn't it? It's very mottled, very bare at the ends, obviously very dry. Green in the middle. You would expect this time of year. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad wicket. I think it's a wicket that keeps everybody interested. I think rightly so. It gives you a chance if you bowl well. You're prepared to run in and hit an area as a seamer. It gives you assistance. We've seen that in the first few overs from McAndrew. Rightly so, coming into day 3, the spinners start to take control. And it's proven, John Simpson proven that if you're prepared to spend time at the crease, weather the storm a little bit, you can make runs on it. So overall, I think it's a good cricket wicket.
All yours.
Yeah, so McAndrew, just as I said that, he's running for another over, hit the bat hard, and played to mid-on from Liam Dawson.
And I know you've got to concentrate on commentary. It's not easy to say this over, but it's an interesting way trying to play on this wicket as well, isn't it? Because we have seen some good partnerships. Obviously, we've talked about Finn Hudson-Prentice and we've talked about John Simpson's partnership. We saw Dawson and Ben Brown put on a decent partnership for that day. But around that, wickets have fallen quite regularly.
Yeah. As McAndrew comes in to bowl to Dawson again, and a good defensive shot there.
So clearly some players have got in and have found it okay, but many haven't. So why would that be?
Oh, well, I think it's a variety of reasons. I think, like any pitch, you've got to work out the conditions. I think work out what is doable on the pitch. I think when the Hampshire batsmen, in particular, what I watched last night, I think when they look back at some of the options perhaps they were taking, and then you've got to think about the bigger picture, you know, taking the game deep as McAndrew runs in again through the crease. To Dawson, who just nudges that nonchalantly off his hip for one to deep square leg. Yeah, I think you've just got to, when you go out to bat, you've got to assess the conditions first and foremost. Look, the only way realistically Hampshire are going to win this game, or even have a sniff of, you know, being a bit of a nuisance to Sussex, let's say, is they've got to get partnerships now. Someone's got to stick around with Liam Dawson. You know, take it in micro chunks. You know, try and bat 5 overs, try and bat 10 overs. You know, build some partnerships. as McAndrew begins his run into the crease. To Fuller, who's nicely forward, with good length. Yeah, and also just looking at some of the techniques of some of the Hampshire batters. I mean, you just haven't seen enough of that. You know, that was a great illustration there from James Fuller. You know, when bowlers who are allowed to bowl well at this level, you know, they're getting that good length. You want to, you know, I didn't really see strong positions getting forward, that real commitment to defence. You know, it almost seemed a little bit sort of half-hearted at times, you know, and bowlers at this level are good enough to just, you know, remember, there's only a small gap they've got to get through there. As McAndrew is running to Fuller again, nicely forward. Yeah, you've got, as it was always said to me, you've got to commit to defence as you do attack. You know, getting those strong positions, and I think then that gives you the best chance to sort of survive.
Well, you were one of the great exponents of having a good technique and getting through difficult situations, and you were prepared to graft, weren't you? I mean, that was, you know, that as well as having a, you know, nice array of shots, but you also did the hard yards when you had to.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to prize yourself. You know, I always wanted to become the complete batsman almost. As McAndrew comes in again to Fuller, just gets a little bit of shape there on a Fuller delivery. Squeezed out to deep cover. Not quite sure why deep cover's out at this stage. That's interesting field position at, you know, when you've got Hampshire under the cosh, why you would need a deep cover. But yeah, absolutely, to finish your point there, Jamie, I mean, it was something I practiced a lot, you know, and it's what you want to be judged upon, is getting tough runs. And sometimes, you know, we found ourselves as a Hampshire team behind the 8 ball in certainly in the red ball game. We were a very good white ball team at the time, so yeah. Myself and Jimmy had to go out at times and play innings against your natural grain. Are players of today willing to do that? Are they capable of doing that in the same way? You know, that's the question, isn't it? But it's definitely a skill I think you have to practice. You have to put yourself in those scenarios in training quite a lot of the time.
Voice of Michael Carberry. 147 matches for Hampshire, first class, averaged 42.
God, that makes me tired just thinking about that 147.
How many hundreds? 28 hundreds. That was for Hampshire alone. Here's Carson with his off-spin from the pavilion. And Fuller pushes forward. It goes out on the leg side. Still those 3 men catching around the bat, and not surprising really, with the situation that Hampshire find themselves in. Of course a dominant situation for Sussex, but also the fact that the first wicket of the morning has already been snaffled around the corner on the leg side. Brad Wheel is the one batter that has gone. Carson bowls. That's turned down the leg side. They're asking for a caught behind. It's off the thigh pad, surely.
Yeah, come on, give over, as Jeffrey Boycott would always say. Give over.
That's a good impression, Carps. A couple of emails which I must get through while we're talking. Stephen Clark, silentcricket@gmail.com. He says, good morning. He says, I trust your day at the wedding yesterday was enjoyable on Kev. Yes, it was actually. It was lovely, but that's played to backward a square leg and there's no run. I have delayed taking breakfast until after the game. Well,
jeez, that's dedication. I'm not sure much comes before my breakfast.
Steve, well, I mean, it could go into well in the afternoon. Can't wait that long. Here's Carson again and bowls. Fuller's driving, a bit of a slap that one. Doesn't time it, goes up towards mid-off. I've delayed to take it back, as he said. Hopefully it will be cold and congealed by the time I get it. Well, yeah, it probably will be. 130 for 7, 13 behind Hampshire. Carson just taking his time as he comes in with the next delivery. Very blustery. Sweep shot, top edge, but there's nobody at deep backward square leg, and it goes for 4.
Ooh, slightly. Heart was in mouth time there a little bit, I've got to be honest. Fuller's deciding that the sweep is probably the better option. Tried to slap a ball from outside, turning from outside the rough through cover, which is definitely a no-no. That one he decided to go cross-bat option and just getting enough on it for a boundary. So he's obviously looking to take the positive option.
Yeah, I think that is James Fuller, isn't it? That's him through and through. He's on 5. The deficit now is down to 9. There is a fielder out there, but more sort of well in front of deep square. The Fielder at backward square leg has just dropped a few paces as Carson comes in again and bowls. Fuller drives, whips it away with the turn on the leg side along the ground. 135 for 7. Email from David Holt, solentcricket@gmail.com. He says, sorry I've not been able to get to the match this week. He says, I've got lung heart problems. Don't get stressed, the doctor said. Don't get stressed. I'm a Hampshire supporter. I pay to get stressed. Still, you lose some, you win some. I'll be back for the second half of the county season. Thank you, David. Thank you for that one. End of the over. Carson has 7 overs. He has 3 for 11. Hampshire 135 for 7, Michael Carberry.
Absolutely, yeah. He's bowled. He's been pretty impressive. What I've seen of him so far, Carson looks almost in the Shoaib Bashir kind of build, isn't he? Quite tall. I think once he gets the ball up and down, he looks a threat. Looks to have good control, and he's got plenty of rough there to work with as well.
Yeah, ideal, really, isn't it, for a spinner?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is the day they're rubbing their hands, isn't it? You know, bit of rabbit stew on offer as McAndrew runs into bowl to Fuller, who drives through extra cover. That's a lovely shot. That could kick on for 4 on this fast outfield, and it does. Welcome boundary for Hampshire, and they're slowly eating into this deficit.
Yeah, what's it, down to 4 now?
Yeah.
Started the day 29 runs behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is one of those pitches, isn't it? I mean, we've seen the first over or two where McAndrew, I mean, he got one to leap almost at Brad Wheel, didn't he? And we thought, oh gosh, this could be over quite quickly. But I do feel if you just put that to the back of your mind and invest a bit of time and just play the next ball, next event, you know, you can make runs on this pitch. As McAndrew strolls in again to Fuller, who plays another nice drive to mid-on.
Yeah, it's a more interesting pitch. I don't know how much you followed the Durham game here, which was the last championship match 3 weeks ago or so, where it was a used pitch, but it just didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
It didn't turn, and that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because you generally have a used pitch to allow the spinners in the game more, but it didn't even turn much.
Yeah, I actually, funny you mention that, I saw Liam Dawson, who spoke about that as McAndrew runs into bowl again to Fuller, and it's on a good length, nicely forward. And yeah, he was very surprised at the fact that, you know, they opted for a used wicket, but he said it just got nothing out of it. It didn't turn, it was too slow, and yeah, they found it tough going as a bowling unit. I mean, it's always a worry, isn't it, when you start to, you're already this far into a season and you still haven't really worked out what your best method is to win games. And I think that's, you know, as someone looking from the outside in, that's the worry for me as McAndrew comes into bowl to Fuller, who's again just short of a length, nicely back on the back foot, punching it to mid-off.
But I think it's fair to say that this is a side now, and we're talking about Hampshire, they are in a bit of a transition.
Yes.
Aren't they? You know, no Vince, no Abbas, who got 6 feet yesterday. I'm sure you saw that,
yeah.
God. And he terrorised Hampshire up at Trent Bridge as well. That it is fair to say that, you know, when you're in that transition, Division 1's a tough place. You would have been in sides, won't you, where you're going through that. It's not an easy place to be, is it, when you're doing this?
No, it isn't. McAndrew into bowl to Fuller. Again, playing this nicely. I think he's come out with the right balance here, James Fuller. He's prepared to get in behind the good ball. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I remember back to around sort of 2006 to 2009. You know, as a young player coming through under Shane Warne's tutelage and stuff, we had, you know, the likes of John Crawley's and Nick Poffers and, you know, some great players around, experienced, and then almost by 2010, 2011, it was all, most of these guys were gone, and suddenly you're looking around, you are the experienced guy. So it was it was definitely different as McAndrew comes into bowl, bit of shape away. It was nicely played by Fuller. Yeah, it was tough. Say a tough time, but to say a transitional time. You had young players coming in, the likes of Liam Dawson, James Vince, Chris Wood, Michael Bates. You know, I can reel off names, Michael Roberts, and you had to kind of, you know, teach them, I suppose, on the job, which was a tough place in Division 1 to learn your craft, to learn your art. But we've obviously seen that, you know, some of those players you mentioned have come through it and become fabulous players over the years.
Still blustery here at the Utilita Bowl. The sun's disappeared behind a bank of cloud. 139 for 7. Then Hampshire behind by 4. 1 or 2 questions coming in for you, Carbs.
Yep.
Greg Thornett, solentcricket@gmail.com, as we wait for the next over to be bowled by Jack Carson from that pavilion end. He's just pushed mid-on back for Liam Dawson, who uses his feet once more and works it up to that area. He moves on to 40 now, 140 for 7. He says, good morning, Kevin and Michael. He says, question for Michael. You spoke about practicing grinding out an innings, which Hampshire currently struggle to do. How did you go about replicating such an innings in practice? I can't imagine that's something that could be done in the nets.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what I'm getting at is more just making practice as tough as you can. So if I'm, for example...
Carson comes in again, sweep by Fuller. He's got much better bat on that, much better contact, goes out quickly to deep forward square leg, 142 for 7.
Yeah, what I talk about is not necessarily just technically making, learning how to grind. I think it's more the mental side as well. Don't forget that's still an important cog when you bat. Thinking about how to break and micromanage, there's the buzzword they use now, micromanage your innings.
Carson in again, sweep shot from Dawson, goes fine past a diving Coles at leg gully, won't quite reach the rope. Good bit of fielding below us. Nathan McAndrew, that is, and the applause you can hear is because Hampshire now have got level in the
money.
match. Yes,
We're in the money.
that's right. Yeah, they're now in the black, no more in the red. 143 for 7, and the scores, as far as the game is concerned, are at level. 143 for 7, as I say. So, yeah, get your questions in. Amelia will come on shortly, and she'll pose some more of those questions to Cubs. Again, he's using his feet. Dawson, I should say, and 143 for 7. The score remains.
Yeah, it's just to follow up the question there. Yeah, so it would be more how I break down, say, a day like today. If I'm Liam Dawson, I'm only looking at trying to bat in 5 over segments. Where are we after 5 overs? Where are we after 10 overs?
Yeah. Dawson again uses his feet and works it up to the fielder at the far end of the ground at deep mid-on, 144 for 7.
Learning to take low percentage, low risk options in the net, so making the practice facility as tough as I can, but looking to take where I can take lots of low risk options to give myself the chance to get ourselves in a good position. So that was how I would stage my practice.
Forward, he's wrapped on the pad, Fuller. I think he's outside the off stump. Even Fuller's looking and saying, look at me, look at my leg, that's outside off stump. What are you doing appealing?
It's a big leg as well, isn't it?
Yes, he's a big leg. 144 for 7 then. Hampshire are in the lead by just 1. Michael Carberry is staying on, and alongside him will be Amelia Clark.
Yeah, so it's so far so good from a Hampshire point of view. Obviously they've lost the 1 wicket this morning of Brad Wheel, but they're slowly inching their way up to getting themselves to, well, you're going to feel they're going to need something better than 180 if they're going to give themselves a fighting chance. But they're hanging in there, and as long as Liam Dawson's at the crease, you've got a feeling there's a chance, Amelia.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So we've got McAndrew coming in from the hotel end. He comes in past the umpire, right arm over and bowls. Dawson on strike, drives that down. That's well stopped by mid-on. Picture that, yes, they're finally in the, as I say, in the black. They lead by 1. The score 144 for 7. So yes, let's have a look. We've got a few emails. We've got an email from Neil Prowse who says, good morning, Kevin, the gang. Congratulations, Mr. Carberry, for finding a diplomatic way for saying the batters need to learn to bat properly rather than hit every ball. Absolutely. Got a few more. McAndrew stands at the top of his mark. He begins his run in. Dawson still on strike. Dawson on 43 in, and this is well carried through to the keeper there.
It's probably the first loose shot really Liam Dawson's played in this innings. So it was there's always that ball in this wicket, isn't there? We've touched on it before. And McAndrew's say a strong shoulder bowler, isn't he? He's not you can find swing, but when he's gone up there, he's found it. And I think you've just got to be a little bit careful driving at that length, because there seems to be a little bit of carry. Maybe it's the ball hitting those indentations over the course of the game, just getting that steep bounce.
McAndrew in once more. Dawson still on strike. Balls, and this is just pushed off into leg side. They'll run through for 1. That was a quick single. McAndrews run off to do his own fielding.
I mean, it's an interesting situation. I think Sussex now find themselves in. With, I mean, you're looking at someone like McAndrew, who's started really, really well. I mean, he's been an outstanding spell so far. I mean, you look at a ball like that to Liam Dawson, you think to yourself, why on earth have you got deep backward point? I mean, you surely at this stage
bring everyone in,
bring someone up in, bring him into another catching position there. Surely, you've got
put the pressure on.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the time to attack, isn't it?
Yeah. They lead by 2. You want to be thinking, if I can get Dawson out now. Fuller on strike now as McAndrew comes in. Bowles, right arm over the wicket still. It's well defended. Fuller just pushes that leg side.
It's an interesting mindset. I would say, this is the knowing when to attack, when to then ease off. I mean, I suppose their thinking really is to try and get Liam Dawson off strike and bowl at James Fuller, the sort of lesser accomplished batsman, respectfully. But I still think you've got to be thinking about getting Liam Dawson out. You don't want Liam Dawson to play himself to 50 or 60. We know his record over the last 2 or 3 years. He is a dangerous cricketer.
Absolutely. You don't want him comfortable up there. Fuller still on strike as McAndrew comes in. Bowles. Good length, and this is well left. That looked like it turned a little bit there. Yeah.
That's moved them off. I literally thought he nicked it.
It did. It pinged off in such a direction. We'll see, that's the pitch feed is just slightly delayed for us, but it does mean we get a replay of every ball. Just watching it now. Yeah.
Well, that looked good, didn't it?
It did indeed.
It's a cracking delivery again. Is that Fuller length? And again, why deep backward point? That's something's not making sense here.
It really, and he doesn't look like he's doing anything. McAndrew once more to Fuller as he's in. This is actually blocked down towards deep backward point. Well, a third man, but he's not going to get there. Well, the deep backward point actually did absolutely nothing there because he was too wide. The ball went for 4. He ran round, couldn't get there. So maybe they will now listen to you and move that fielder who's clearly.
I can tell you now that was cricket gods at his finest. They're saying, oh, yeah, why is it deep? And then the edge was always going to go to third man, and you don't chase it here once it goes to third man. I can tell you that now.
And I mean, even on this, like on the left-hand side, as we look at it, is a really far boundary. But I mean, down towards the pavilion is a bit shorter.
So quick. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, down towards sort of the hotel end here, it did slow up a little bit in the outfield yesterday. But yeah, I think. Well, that's the end of the over. 149 for 7. Hampshire have 43 overs, and they lead by 6.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good, solid start. So obviously, they've lost a wicket of Brad Will, but I think from here on in, from a Hampshire point of view, it's just slow increments here, isn't it? You've got to try and inch by inch your way up to a score of some sort. Try and get to 20, a lead of 20, 25, 30, just try and irritate Sussex a little bit here as Carson comes into bowl again. Dawson employs the sweep. That's a beautiful shot. Split the gap, deep backward square leg, and that's another boundary. That was well played.
That was a much better sweep than he did a previous.
Yes, absolutely. I think he's worked out that you've either got to use your feet on this pitch, try and hit down the ground, or you've got to employ the sweep shot. Trying to drive from outside off is probably not the way to go. And that was lovely timing, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. He looks much more comfortable out there now, does Dawson. Moved on to 48.
As Carson comes in again. Wrapped on the pad just outside off stump with a big appeal, but I say it's not out. Right, so struck outside the line. Yeah, and then you look at Liam Dawson's scoring rate. I mean, he still scored at a good clip. I mean, he's 48 not out after 66 balls. That's not slow. I mean, 72 strike rate. I mean, that's fair going on a pitch that's offering all the bowlers something.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, Carson comes in again. Nice tall action. Gets a bit of turn.
And
Liam
he's been given.
Oh, good grief. What a death. Just tickling that one round the corner through to John Simpson, the keeper. It's bitterly disappointed Liam Dawson. He knows it. Really, it was a bit of a soft way of getting out, really, after showing such positive intent, and you'd be frustrated with that dismissal.
Yeah, that he will indeed. I mean, Do you think there was an element of it? I mean, the last 3 deliveries, he looked like he was sweeping. He was trying to sort of play the same shot. Do you think Carson just adjusted it slightly, or was it just stay on the same line? He's going to make a mistake eventually.
Yeah, well, I think Carson's got the advantage of being of runs on the board, and he can set a bowl to attacking field. So he's got rough to play with. I just think again, just maybe poor innings management from Liam Dawson, just a mistake really. I think where you're trying to hit that with a leg slip in place.
Yeah.
You got to weigh up the risk reward on that shot. I would prefer him maybe to rock back and try and pull that hard, or just let it hit the body. You've got to, this is what I'm saying about the game management. Of some of the batters in this game. Have they really thought about the bigger picture? Sometimes you just got to do things ugly. Let the ball hit you on the body. That ball is never hitting the stumps.
No.
Just to offer a little tickle on it with the leg slip in play. It's not great batting.
Yeah. I mean, as you say, doing things ugly, and this was never going to be one to be, a game that they absolutely thrashed, and they won beautifully. But they had a chance to win it as you say, in an ugly way, and just fight through. But it does feel as if there's just not that sort of consistency within the batting of sort of the decision making being for the team.
Yeah, I would say that it doesn't feel like joined up writing at the moment, does it? Like you've got some players trying to play uber aggressive, and that's fine, but then you also got to think about the options. Again, come back to it. What are the options? Are they, to use an NFL sort of analogy, you're trying to throw Hail Marys all the time. How often do they come off?
Yeah.
As Carson comes in again to Abbott, who, I tell you what, he was right in front of all three, playing a bit of French cricket.
Yeah.
Old Kyle Abbott. I mean, it's always seemingly batsmen now taking high risk options just to score, and that's a tough place to be. I think it's recognising that there's gears in between. You've got to keep skin in the game at times, and that you've got to look ugly at times. Be prepared to look ugly at times.
And I mean, on the contrast, Simpson, the way he played yesterday was very much like that. He could see the gears. I mean, on the end of day one. Stopped. Yeah, as on the end of day one, I mean, that partnership of him and Hudson Prentice, they just almost stalled the game, and it was like, right, we're just going to get to the end of the day. We're not going to take any risk whatsoever here. And it was very well played cricket, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, John Simpson's been around a hell of a long time. As Carson again comes in, nice tall action over the top, bit of flight, and that's caught, that slip. Abbott's gone. Tentative push outside off stump, and pretty tame dismissal there. It's caught at slip. That's another nail in the Hampshire coffin, unfortunately.
Yes, that was a double wicket maiden there.
Never really committing to that forward defensive shot, Kyle Abbott. You can see just half camped on the back foot, and there's a little prod poke, and the ball sort of just ran on with the arm through to slip, and Hampshire's further slipping in the mire, unfortunately.
So Abbott goes for one. It was bowled by Carson and caught by Haynes behind. And Hampshire moved to 155 for 9. They do lead by 12. With only 1 wicket remaining, wonder how big that lead's going to get.
Well, I say with the fall of Liam Dawson, I've got to be honest, I'm always a Hampshire optimist, but my optimism levels certainly dropped.
Waning.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, but I mean, look, you've got to give credit where it's due. I think Sussex really have been fabulous. They've just done the basic things very, very well for long enough, and if you do that, you're going to give yourself opportunities to win games of cricket. Hampshire, not so much, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sussex yesterday, their bowling was unrelenting and pinpoint accurate, just constantly from both ends, and it really just didn't give Hampshire a moment to sort of just have a breather. Really, there was no moment to relax, which is exactly how they wanted them to be. That's how they've got themselves in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was very impressive to watch Hudson Prentice, get his name right, and Crocombe. He looks a good prospect as well.
Yes.
Ran in well. Looks looks like he's got a little bit of pace about him. As I say, the pitch yesterday evening didn't do heaps with the new ball. Surprisingly, it was very sort of cloudy sort of day, and usually in those days the ball can do something. But it just, I think what Sussex did really well was to shut down the scoreboard. They just didn't allow Hampshire to breathe at any stage, and you always felt that one opening was going to bring two.
As Crocombe comes in, and there's a half shout as it carries through to the keeper. We've got Fuller on strike. He's on 16 off 24 deliveries. Turner yet to bat as he's just joined his counterpart in the middle after the dismissal of Carl Abbott.
So it was an interesting shot to a ball outside off stump. I'm not really sure where James Fuller was trying to hit that. The ball was pitching on around 6th stump, and he's trying to work that through mid-wicket. Probably not ideal.
Crocombe once more, right arm over the wicket. Fuller waits on strike, and that's well defended back. And Crocombe will do his own fielding. He's got 3 slips in place for Crocombe. And the field is very much spread out to let them have the single. You'd be thinking, oh, we'll close it down, get the wicket. No, we'll put literally everyone on the boundary other than the 3 slips. As Crocombe comes in again and bowls. Good length. This is blocked into the offside with no one there. They thought about one, but they didn't take it.
Right, Captain Amelia, why have Sussex at this stage with 12-run lead? I mean, with all due respect to James Fuller, you're not bowling at Liam Dawson or in later years James Vince, who was a fabulous player. You're bowling at James Fuller, who's a number 8, number 9. Surely you back yourself in this situation.
I mean, you'd think so. As Crocombe comes in once more past the umpire and bowls, and that's wide. I mean, the only thing I can think in this situation is that they're hoping they're going to do sort of a big sweep, and it's going to be caught on the boundary, and they're going to take a chance. But I just can't actually fathom why the field is set like this at all.
No idea.
It's
I'm
bemusing.
saying this, yeah, exactly, and I'm saying this as I'm watching the ball swinging, quite prodigiously here. There's enough in this pitch. I mean, how they're looking to get him out caught at deep cover, I do not know.
No, Fuller drives down mid-wicket, and they'll go through for one because there's no one up.
All I can think of, they want to make a game of it. They want to give the batters something to chase.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Very odd.
Perhaps, but you'd be thinking at this rate, they want that cohesive win. They want that, right, let's get this done. We lead by 14. We could come in and done in 2 overs, and everyone's home. We could be home by this afternoon.
Absolutely.
But no, we'll let them have all the singles they want, apparently. Now they have I think we can have a change in commentary in a moment. I think Adrian's a bit early. As Crocombe comes in once more from the
hello,
from the hotel end. Bowls, and they have brought everyone up for Turner, leaving 2. Adrian, we were just talking about the field that was set for Fuller.
Yeah.
It was quite a bonkers one, really. Other than the 3 slips, everyone was out on the boundary.
I guess.
And Michael and I couldn't really fathom why.
Well, I guess the only thing obviously trying to get Fuller off straw to take the signal.
Crocombe in once more, and this is blocked well by Turner. Yet to get off the mark.
I think Sussex will be very pleased with their morning's work, really. You're going into a day like today when you're expected to win and should win a game, when there's just 4 wickets required, but you never quite know when there's someone like Liam Dawson, you've got Fuller, you've got Abbott. You just need somebody who suddenly comes off, and maybe Hampshire get a lead of, who knows, 70, 80, 90, up to 100. And there's a bit of pressure around, but Sussex from here, what's the lead now? Just 14. I think I'll be very pleased, and Jack Carson will be delighted to have picked up a fifer. Particularly because he's, he made 100 in the game against Worcester a couple of weeks ago, and now he's taking wickets as well. So, and I'm a little surprised. I thought that Jack would be picked for the Lions game, I must admit, because the series came out, and I was very surprised he wasn't. But all he can do is take wickets. If he's taking wickets, then at least you're in the conversation. And it is going to be Jack Carson now, who's going to come in from the pavilion end. He's going to be bowling to the right-handed James Fuller. The field is set right back. They're allowing him the single, but there are 3 men around the bat. There's
that
a slip,
at least
leg
makes
slip.
a bit more sense.
In comes Carson. Bowls and Fuller plays down the ground. He's not going to take the single. Jack Carson runs across to where mid-on would be and completes the fielding. So Jack Carson with all 3 wickets. Look at his figures. 5 for 22.
Brilliant innings he's had.
Sussex off spinner. Yeah, so just to confirm, slip, leg, slip, short leg. Shortish third, yeah, I'm going to call that short third man as opposed to backward point. Mid-off. Then 4 men back on the leg side. In comes Carson, bowls to Fuller, who sweeps firmly. And he's, well, there's 2 men back on that leg side, and he's bisected both of them. A dive by Nathan McAndrew, but he can't stop it. That's a good shot by Fuller, who goes to 21. Hampshire to 161 for 9. And the lead goes up to 18. He couldn't have placed that better if he tried, actually, between those 2 fielders.
Absolutely, yeah, he did very well. I mean, that effectively beat, well, there's 2 in tight, 2 on the boundary, beat 4 fielders there. That's not bad.
It went directly between Tom Alsop and Nathan McAndrew. John Simpson's just rearranging that leg side field. In fact, he's now moving James Coles out from leg slip to almost a short fine leg. Just need to be careful, Sussex, here. They don't get 3 men behind square. I'm sure they won't make that mistake. Nathan McAndrew now right back on the fence. As in comes Carson and bowls and Fuller drives through mid-wicket. Decides not to take the single, so he's trying to farm the strike. We've had 3 balls of the over so far.
Well, quite a sunny day. I know there's a few clouds around, but it's much sunnier than it was yesterday. Very blustery.
Well, we've been very lucky with the weather because before the match, the forecast really wasn't all
bad,
that. It wasn't that good, particularly for yesterday. Carson in, bowls, and Fuller defends down the offside of the pitch. Carson fields off his own bowling, and there is no run. So last ball at the over is the last ball of the over. No, there's 2 to come. So we'll have to see whether John Simpson. I would imagine they're going to bring the field in to save this, to prevent the single being taken. Carson again from the pavilion end is in and bowls, and Fuller is forward. The ball just dribbles down in front of him. Now I'd imagine that John Simpson will bring the field in to prevent. Yeah, here we go.
As if he heard you there.
To prevent the single being taken. So immediately, well, the long on is staying out. The 2 men back on the leg side are staying, but they brought mid wicket into a 1 saving position. So there's now 4 men saving the single, as well as the short leg and slip. Now the long on is being brought up as well. So let's see what James Fuller does here. Carson just waits at the end of his run. Excellent figures, 5 for 26 for Carson. He's in and bowls. Fuller is forward. He plays it straight to mid-wicket, fielded by Tom Clark. So as far as Sussex is concerned, job done there for Jack Carson. End of the over. Hampshire 161 for 9. It means their lead is just 18. And they've got the benefit now of bowling at John Turner, the number 11, who's yet to score.
He is, yeah. He's faced 2 deliveries, but no score so far. And Fuller is on 21 of 33, so he's very much the Hampshire batter, really, of the 2. So, being the higher up the order. So he's going to be the one that Hampshire look to try and take them on a little bit. As Adrian said, they lead by 18. Sussex have 4 points. That was a few batting and bowling points, and Hampshire on 3. As Crocombe comes in from the hotel end and bowls. This is well blocked by Turner. As he wanders away and taps the ground. 3 slips in place. The clouds just coming over now, taking out that sunlight, but no threat of rain, I wouldn't say. There was a bit in the air as I drove in this morning, but
yeah, there was a bit of rain as I
threatening.
came down the A3 actually. There you could see the roads were damp. So there'd obviously been some rain overnight, but the forecast has actually, over the last couple of days, you can see some puddles over on the concourse on the fast.
Yes.
So there was a bit of rain overnight, but it's, we don't mind if it's overnight.
No.
I think tomorrow, if this game were to go to 4 days, which
I think it was going to be rained out anyway,
tomorrow doesn't look good, or didn't look good.
Bank holiday Monday.
Yeah.
As Crocombe comes in once more past the umpire. Turner waits on strike. This is sliced to mid-wicket.
Let's just see if I've got any more emails coming on. I had an email from Dean over in Cambodia, who was listening, and something like 28 degrees over in Laos today. Let's just see if I can get Dean's email up.
As Crocombe comes in once more, looking for another wicket past the umpire to Turner, who waits. That was a shorter delivery, popped up, and Turner did well just to push that into the ground. He's faced 5, yet to score is Turner.
Yeah, his job is just to stay there, isn't it? And hopefully, from a Hampshire point of view, they'll be hoping that James Fuller can score some runs at the other end. But I'm not saying it's a lost cause for Hampshire, because you never know in 4-day cricket, and cricket has a wonderful habit of surprising us all. But really, Sussex are.
The loss of Liam Dawson was big there.
Yeah.
As Crocombe comes in. Shorter again, and that looked like it might have taken an edge, but I think it bounced over the head.
Yeah, Dean's been in touch over in Cambodia. He says, enjoying the commentary late afternoon here. It's 28 degrees. I'm having a beer watching the cricket. Regards, Dean. So nice from Dean. And a lovely email we had earlier on, if you missed it, from Fred, who was over in Cyprus on the morning of his sister's wedding with my mum and girlfriend Molly, hoping to hear a Sussex win. So I hope you have a lovely day at your sister's wedding, Fred. And thank you for getting in touch.
Crocombe once more starts his run up and comes in to Turner, who waits, bowls. This is slightly wider and it's cut away. That was very nice. Yeah, that will go for 4 as there's no one out in the deep. 2 fielders chasing, but that's gone. Down past 3rd man. Hampshire move to 165, the lead of 22.
So it's very difficult to tell at a big ground like this exactly how many people are in the ground. The crowd is scattered around, but actually there's a few more than I thought there would be, because waking up this morning you might think, well, it's, I guess there's always the chance, you never know as a cricket fan when a game is going to develop into something you think, oh, if only I'd gone and watched that.
Absolutely. And I have to credit, a lot of the Hampshire supporters are, very faithful, and they'll always come and watch their guys whatever the weather and however they're playing. As Crocombe comes in, and this is straight to square leg. Easy, quite an easy catch there.
Ollie Carter taking the catch.
And Turner is dismissed, and that will be the end of the Hampshire innings. Yeah, Turner will be dismissed on 4. That was a great delivery by Crocombe, who gets yet another wicket. Yeah, that was just popped up, and it was just pushed almost straight to square leg.
Well, very difficult for a number 11. That's the sort of delivery that's very difficult to play, and Ollie Carter's in there at short leg exactly for that reason, and I think Sussex will feel that's very much job done. The lead for Hampshire is just 22, and I'm sure the message from Paul Farbrace this morning would have been, this isn't yet done, there's still work to be done, but Sussex have done that. They picked up those 4 wickets in the first hour, and well, it would take something quite remarkable now for Sussex not to win this game.
Absolutely. So yeah, Hampshire on 165. They lead by 22. The players and umpires are just departing the field, and we will be back when Sussex come back in for their second innings, and they chase down the lead of 22. We will see you again shortly.
Well, welcome back to the Utilita Bowl, where the players are out in the middle, and for Sussex it's just the small matter of scoring 23 in their second innings to win the game. In the 57 minutes that the Hampshire second innings lasted this morning, they resumed on 114 for 6. They lost their last 4 wickets for 51 runs in just 13 overs. And a good performance again from Sussex, where the bowling figures, there was 5 wickets for Jack Carson, the off-spinner, 5 for 26. So he added 3 wickets to his tally this morning, 3 for 22 he picked up in the morning session, and it left James Fuller 21 not out. I'm Kevin James. We're going to hear from BBC Sussex's Adrian Harms. Adrian, do you want to start?
Yeah, Liam Dawson comes in, bowls to Ollie Carter, and the first ball he flicks that away through mid-wicket and picks up a couple of runs, does Ollie Carter. So Sussex immediately pick up the 2, and leading now another 21 to win. Yeah, Jack Carson, I think I said to you earlier in the week, I was a little bit surprised he hadn't been picked for the Lions game, the 2 games coming up against India. I mean, I think he's bowled really well this season. Perhaps the wickets column perhaps doesn't reflect that. But all he can do is put himself in the conversation, isn't it? And with Bashir getting a load of wickets yesterday, as in comes Carter bowls, that he seems to be very much nailed on as the first choice spinner, doesn't it?
He's in there.
England certainly like so. And there's a lot of competition. I mean, both the Ahmed brothers are in the Lions squad, so Jack's got a lot to do to get in there. But all he can do is take wickets, and of course he does score runs as well. That being said, Rian Ahmed made 100 for Leicestershire yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Batting at 3. In comes Dawson bowls. Carter lets that go through, taken by Ben Brown, and there is no run. Attacking field, as you would expect, short leg, 2 slips, backward point, cover, short extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, and a short fine leg. As Liam Dawson comes in from the pavilion, then left arm around the wicket bowls to Carter, who's forward. Liam Dawson with a stifled appeal, I think it's fair to say. The ball bounces down the track, and there is no run.
Yeah, there might just be enough time for Michael Carberry to come back on before the end of the game.
Yeah, well, I'll hop off before.
Well, no, you should be on, really.
In comes Dawson bowls. Carter defends down the track. Leads to a bit of a hide into nothing, but you don't want to get out, do you, in this situation?
No, it's not nice. No.
You like to come off with a not out to your name.
You can always stay on and do a session with Michael Carberry if you want to.
Well, it's your.
It is, but it's going to be your win.
Well, in comes Dawson bowls. Carter is forward, plays that to backward point, and there is no run. So Sussex are 2 without loss.
So I'm going to offer you. I'm going to come off in 5 minutes, and you'd finish off the game with Michael
Carberry. Or I can let you
Carberry.
on with Michael for 5 minutes, and I'll replace you. Why don't we do it that way around? So we get Michael on now.
Okay.
Should we do that?
And then you come on at the end.
Yeah. Should we do that?
Yeah. You can call the winning moment. There we go. So we'll get Cubs on now.
I'm not that precious, honestly.
No, I know. Well, you're not. You're very kind. You're very magnanimous, whatever the word is in victory. Is that the phrase? Carbs, magnanimous? Is that the word? Can you say that?
You're not getting that word out of me, mate.
We're getting a bit of extra work out of Michael Carberry. Well, we're not really, because he was here all day, but we're going to squeeze in as much of Michael Carberry as we can before the end of the game. It's going to be Tom Prest with his off-spin. So we've got spinners at both ends with a new ball. Are they actually using a new ball? Sometimes they don't. That's pushed out on the offside by Haynes, and there's no run in. Sometimes in these situations you don't use a new ball, do you?
Well, you kind of think, is there any point to it? But I mean, just listening to the sound off the bat, it does sound like a.
Sounds pretty hard, does it? Haynes is off the back foot, a little bit cramped for room, but he does find a gap square on the offside, just as the sun comes out a little brighter. And Sussex move on to 3 without loss, and they need just 20 to win the game. Steve Clarke, who said that he was waiting for his breakfast this morning and for the end of the game, it's probably just about warm. There might be a bit of warmth there still, as Prest comes over the wicket this time. Down the wicket comes Carter, just turns a little bit into his pads. He says, "I've taken an early tea during the change of innings," says Steve. Yes. Well, if you're looking for some bank holiday cricket, I guess you'd have to be looking elsewhere than here today. There'll be nothing this afternoon, nothing tomorrow. They'll actually played off the back foot. Behind point, there is a fielder out in the deep. That's Mark Stoneman. And Sussex will pick up 2. They move on to 5 and now need just 18. So a little disappointing. I suppose we shouldn't be too surprised at the way things have unfolded this morning. Sussex well on top, continue to be well on top. 3 men around the bat as press bowls. That's short, and that's reverse swept hard behind square. And in fact, it hasn't quite come off the bat as hard as I thought it might do. It's trickling towards the boundary. Stoneman, a long run around for him, picks it up, and that's 3 more, 8 without loss.
Yeah, that was there's not much turn on offer, and not sure how much Tom Press bowls, but it looks very friendly stuff at this stage, doesn't it? Taking the reverse sweep option.
Yeah, it was very short, wasn't it, to play that one. Haynes whips that away on the leg side. More work for Mark Stoneman, running to his left. He'll pick that up again, just inside the boundary. 10 without loss. Sussex need another 13. This is rapidly coming towards a conclusion.
It's a slow puncture, as we used to call it back in the day.
Slow puncture. Oh dear. Let's get through a couple of emails just before we finish. Roger Arthur, silentcricket@gmail.com. He says, very good commentary as always, thank you. Regarding batting, I was under the impression that 4-day county championship games were introduced to improve the quality of batting. Longer at the crease, etc. Why after doing that did they introduce the 100? Which does the exact opposite, he says. Well, Michael does a lot of commentary on the 100, and he sees a totally different form of the game as to 4-day cricket. There's Dawson. Oh, it's you, sorry.
Oh, it's Liam Dawson into bowl. Nice delivery there, pushed back by Carter. Yeah, the 100.
Yes. Do you love it?
Love, strong word.
When I listen to you when I'm up and down the motorways, you do sound as though you love it, Carl.
As Dawson comes in again, slightly flatter delivery. So, yeah, look, I get what it was brought in to do, certainly after or during the pandemic. Has it necessarily improved the standard of cricket? I'll answer in a minute. Liam Dawson comes in again. It's slightly flattered delivery. And pushed off the back foot by Carter. Is it something that I look upon and think, oh, that has definitely improved? I think it's been great for the women's game, I'll say that. I think in terms of allowing the girls to play in front of big crowds, I think it's been a phenomenal game, a product that way. Liam Dawson comes in again, and that's well taken at slip. That's a lovely delivery.
Yeah, Toby Albert.
Yeah, great catch at slip there. So it was bit of turn, which will give the Hampshire left arm's veteran spinner now. I suppose I can call Dawson veteran.
He's 35. I suppose. When do you think you reach the veteran stage?
Nowadays, 29. Well, it's getting younger and younger, or am I just getting older and older?
Well, you don't look older, I must say.
Looks so deceiving, Mike. Yeah, but that was a lovely delivery, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's classic Liam Dawson, isn't it? Just pitch, turned, a little bit of flight. And much in the same way Carson found for Sussex, you know, if you're just prepared to just give the ball a little bit of air, there is that element of turn there. But yeah, getting back to your point with the 100. Yeah, look, I think it's done its job. It was obviously a difficult time economically for the game, but is it something that I look upon and think that that's improving the standard of cricket in this country? I think we were always quite a strong, certainly in the last couple of years, we've been very strong in white ball cricket anyway, so I don't think it's necessarily improved things there, but it will definitely have an effect on the red ball game, as it will do, not necessarily positively. We saw that, you know, with the Test team. They went through a tough time in India. You know, again, you know, on the batting front, not getting enough runs, batsmen not occupying the crease. Are they playing enough red ball stuff? I mean, you know, there's so many leagues around now. Are players having the time, the preparation time, enough preparation time, should I say, to go and work at red ball skills? That's the question for me.
Tom Alsop, formerly of Hampshire.
Yes. Dawson comes in again. Alsop leaning into one outside off stump just for one note. And you'll know this wicket well. I mean, spent his formative years here on the staff at Hampshire. Good young player.
He was, yeah. Played 60 games, 60 first-class games for Hampshire.
Was he doing very well at Sussex? Did a bit of captaincy, I believe, there as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
So. So can Dawson take another one down? Spinning ball from one hand to another, comes into Bolt. A little bit flatter delivery. Punched up the ground by Haynes.
It's just 12 runs now at the end of that over. The thing is, Cubs, you would have been good. Well, you were good at white ball and red ball, and already we've learnt a bit this morning that, you know, it's hard work, isn't it? It's hard. You put in the hard yards, and ultimately you were rewarded. And you know, I think that's quite a good point to make. I'm not saying players these days are lazy. I'm not saying that from one iota, but maybe the processes that you went through, are maybe some players maybe aren't prepared to do the same. Do you think?
Well, I think the game allows it more now. I think, you know, when in my time I wanted to be good in all forms. That's, you want to be the complete cricketer.
Pressed bowls, Haynes is forward, maybe an inside edge onto the pad, I don't know really, but it goes harmlessly away on the offside.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to play Test cricket for my country. That was the aim as a 10-year-old boy.
Haynes works that away, and I'm not sure that was a catch at short leg. It was hit quite hard, sort of a punch shot off the front foot. Down is Fletcher Middleton. I think he's all right.
Took that on the hand or the wrist.
Yeah,
they're quite painful this time of year, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. 11 needed from here on in. Pressed in again. Short, whipped away, runs here through mid-wicket. Stoneman is running sort of. Let's go for 4. So it's just 7 needed.
Yeah, that was again too short from Prest. He's got to try and get the ball up there to these left-handers, try and get the ball to bite and turn. But if you bowl that length here, it's so quick, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
It's a rapid outfield. Once you beat the infield, it just runs away to the boundary.
16 for 1. That was actually Brad Wheel. Apologies. Here's Prest again. Bowls. Hangs off the back foot. Hits it to Wheel. Now, quick one here, because I'm going to come off in a minute. Matt Groot, solarcricket@gmail.com. He says, great commentary. What a disappointment again in the batting department. Carbs, can't you come on as Hampshire in as a batting coach? That's turned away for a single. 17 for 1. You've talked more sense about county championship batting than I've seen demonstrated all season by the batters. In one morning commentary session, we sorely miss your experience.
That's very kind of you. Isn't it? Nice to know I still have some fans out there.
Yeah, well, they still love you.
I'm passionate about my team. You know, I love Hampshire. I've already stated that. I have a deep love for the club, and I want them to do well even in retirement. But unfortunately, that's not my decision to make. Who works with the batters? But you know, I'm sure if opportunities are there, I'll be called upon.
Good man. You're going to stay on for the final bit.
Cool.
And he's been saying that he doesn't mind, but he's right up behind his Adrian
right
Harms,
there,
itching to call the winning moment for Sussex. Adrian Harms.
We welcome Adrian back for the last rites of this game. 2 needed from Sussex point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I mean, it's a third win of the season for Sussex having come up, which is a really good start, I think. You know, 3 out of 7.
Very impressive team, I have to say. Well led by Paul Farbrace.
Yeah. In comes Dawson. Bowls to Haynes. Ball bounce out on the outside. Is Paul someone you've come across during your career, Michael?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I had him at Kent in my early career, and he was a good coach to work with. A very positive guy.
Yeah.
I think very good. You know, talked a lot of sense about the game. And he's obviously doing a great job here at Sussex as well.
Dawson in bowls, and well, looking to reverse sweep. That is Tom Haynes. The ball comes off an outside edge, ends up at sort of almost a short fine leg, and there is no run. I don't think he would have played that. I think he was looking to hit the winning runs there, Michael.
I mean, this is the players of today, isn't it? They're not looking to, you know, nudge it around for win the game. It's all, let's finish it in a blaze of glory. Dawson comes in again. Nicely defended. But yeah, I would say, you know, it looks like a very good workman-like professional performance from Sussex. I think, you know, just in all departments, you know, they've played the game as it should be played. They've read the conditions. They've been tough when they needed to be. They've been flamboyant when they needed to be, and they've bowled pretty well.
In comes Liam Dawson, bowling to Tom Haynes. Bowls, and Haynes flicks this one away on the leg side. They're going to pick up at least one. They'll think about two. They're going to come back for the second. He's got a bit of a move on as the throw goes into the bowler's end. Actually hits Tom Alsop and runs away. But they are the winning runs. Hit by Tom Haynes. Handshakes all around. Tom Haynes finishes 10 not out. Tom Alsop on 6. Sussex have won here by 9 wickets. Sussex's first away win of the season. But their third win in the opening 7 matches, a very satisfactory start for Sussex to dive back in Division 1 of the County Championship. A couple of those you wouldn't have seen an awful lot of. We didn't see, we saw Jack Carson pick up 3 wickets this morning. What did you make of Jack Carson? Because he's made 100 in the Championship already this season, so he can bat and he'd be in a side to take wickets, and he seems to be doing that now.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen him on this pitch,
yeah,
if I'll be honest. So he's had a lot of help, but that's not his fault. That's what he's been given, and I think when he is a lot to like. I think he's tall. I think once he gives the ball a bit of air, he gets purchase on the ball. How he progresses on for the rest of the season, I'd keep an eye on him. But I think there's lots to like there for sure. I think he complements obviously a Coles at the other end, who has done pretty well himself. So if you've got 2 young players coming up through the Sussex system, I think it'd be interesting to see how they develop on different pitches away from home as well. They've done really well. For me, the seam department I think looked really impressive. I think Hudson Prentice bowled really well. Crocombe looks a good find, I think, as well. It was just workmanlike. I think they just stuck to a good plan. They've got Ollie Robinson to come back into the mix as well. And batting wise, I mean, look, the vintage old wine of John Simpson, he just keeps getting better and better, doesn't he? But he's showing the youngsters, the Alsops, the Haynes, these kind of guys, how to do it. And the results are showing that. From a Hampshire point of view, I think, look, there's a bit more head scratching, isn't it? What's going wrong at the moment, and how do they put it right? And they've got to find answers pretty quickly.
I'll bring in Kevin, who perhaps talk to you about Hampshire and perhaps want to. No, you're finished. You're done. Okay, Michael. I'm sure it's been short and sharp. It's been great to see you today, and the players making their way up the steps. We'll go and get some reaction at the end of the game. So good result for Sussex. They've won 3 of their first 7. They've won by 9 wickets here. So it's thank you from me, Adrian Harms, from Michael Carberry, from Amelia Clark. From Kevin James as well. We now have a break from the 4-day game. We're now on to T20 cricket, which Sussex start with a trip up to Lords on Thursday, and all those matches, of course, on the BBC. But thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday weekend, and we'll speak to you again in the near future.